Hello, Algebra 1. Today we have a video that we're going to be doing since I'm at a meeting, but I will be back in a little bit. Also, I think this lesson is pretty easy and you should do a great job with it. So today we are going to be solving quadratics by graphing. You definitely need a calculator, so please make sure you grab one if you don't have one already. So we have been using second trace 5 for many units both this semester and last semester, and we're going to use second trace 5 again. So the key idea here when you solve by graphing is we're going to identify our two equations. Y1 is going to be what's to the left of the equal sign, and Y2 will be on the right. And then we're just going to find all of our intersection points by using second trace 5, 5 being intersect, enter, enter, enter. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to sketch the graph, find and label the coordinates of all points that represent solutions. Those will be your intersection points. And we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so here's how we would do this. We'll take our calculator. Y equals, I'll clear out what I have here. Y1 will be this part right here. So we'll go ahead and type that in. And then Y2 is just what's after the equal sign, which is the 0. You do need to put that 0 into your calculator. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and graph. So notice we have a horizontal line over the x-axis as well as a parabola here. So we'll go ahead and graph or draw that now. And I would recommend drawing something over your x-axis too, just so we know that's where the intersection is. And then you'll notice there are two intersections, and these are actually representing our zeros since our equation is equal to 0. Okay, so we'll actually find these just the same way we found our zeros. Second trace 5, move your cursor over to the first one, enter, enter, enter. Please follow along and do this on your calculator as well. Okay, and then we'll label. All right, notice we're not done until it says intersection on our calculator. All right, now we try it again. Second trace 5, move your cursor over. Yours are much faster than mine. Mine is very slow. Oh, there we go. Enter, enter, enter. -4, 0. Okay, so then our solutions, we are just going to use our x coordinates because that's what we're really solving for. So we'll say x equals -4 or 1. Okay, and that's it. We just have a bunch of different pictures that we're going to look at. Okay, so let's try the next one. Go to your y equals. Everything on the left side, type into y1. Everything on the right side, type into y2. So notice this one's a -6, which means you're still going to have a horizontal line. Remember Heivick's y equals horizontal, but it's not going to be at the x-axis anymore. It'll be down at -6. So you can see this is a different type of picture. Okay, so you can go ahead and draw that. Make sure you draw your horizontal line as well. Okay, and if you notice, it looks like there's only one intersection point right down there at the vertex. So we'll just put one dot here. And again, to find our intersection points, second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. Okay, and we get 0, -6. So please label that on your graph, and then for your solutions, you're just telling me the x coordinate. So x equals 0. All right, let's look at some situations that do not have horizontal lines. So number 3, you'll notice that you've got all this going on here. One thing you could do if you want is that you could move everything to one side. So like subtract your x, add your 15, so you have an equal 0. If you'd like to do that, you can, but you really don't need to. Your calculator will graph this and find your solutions without you moving anything over. Okay, so let's just plug it in as it is. -2x² plus 5x. And then x minus 15 goes in y2. All right, take a minute to make sure that looks good. And then I'll press graph. All right, so what you're going to notice here is like we can't really see the whole picture. So we need to see farther down. So that would be our Y-min. Okay, so if we go to Window, I'm going to change my Y-min to something smaller. -10 is what it's at now. I want something smaller than -10. So I'm going to try -20. And then I'm going to regraph. And you can see that you should get a better picture of what's happening here. You can see your intersection points now. All right, so again, we chose Y-min to change to a smaller number because I needed to see lower down. All right, now you can go ahead and draw that. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It just has to be, you know, something along the lines of what it actually looks like. Okay, so you have two intersection points here and here. Go ahead and draw or put a dot for them. And then even though the graph looks different, we're still finding the intersection exactly the same way. Second trace 5, move your cursor over, and it doesn't matter which one you find first. Enter, enter, enter. Okay, this one we will round, so let's be careful rounding to the nearest hundredth. This is a -1.9, and it's a 1 here, but there's a 5 next to it. So we're going to change it to -1.92, comma, we have a 9.1, but there's a 5 next to it, so this is a -16.92. Okay, all right, and now we have to find the other one. Second trace 5, move your cursor over. Dun, 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 dun. La, la, la. Okay, close enough. Enter, enter, enter. Okay, and again, watch it because you have these 1s with 5s next to them. This one's fine, 0.8 with a 4 next to it. That one we can leave as is. So 3.92, -11.08. All right, label for me. And then again, your solutions are just your x's. So we'd have the 3.92 and the -1.92. And your order doesn't matter. Okay? All right. See, this is no problem at all. Let's try this one. Okay, I have -x² plus 5x. Okay, and then 8. All right, and graph. Okay, so this one I can see everything that's going on here. I'm going to go back to a standard window now. So whenever you want to change your window back to what it was originally, let's do a zoom 6. Okay, so this is a different situation here. You have a horizontal line, you have a parabola, but what you probably notice is they are not intersecting. So look, if I try to do my second trace 5, enter, 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 I'm getting an error because there is no intersection. So you have probably said in your head by now, oh, this means no solution. And you would be correct. There is no solution because there are no intersection points. All right, number 5. This one will have some intersection points. Let's go ahead and draw it, or type it in, I mean. So x² plus 2x, that's just everything on the left of the equal sign. -x² minus 3x. Be careful when you type this in. Notice the -x², you're using the negative button. And then minus 3x, you're using the minus. Okay, if you don't do that, you're going to get a different graph. All right, well, so the way I would draw this is one parabola at a time. Okay, so you've got one that looks like that. Yeah, and you've got one that looks like that. Okay, and they do intersect in 2 places. Okay, here we go. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. One intersection is at 0, 0. So you may want to redraw your graph a little bit if you don't have it at the origin. Second trace 5, Move our cursor over to the other one. Enter, enter, enter. And that's a negative 2.5, 1.25. Okay, and then don't forget to put your x's only on the line. So x's are negative 2.5 and 0. All right, there you go. That's the new stuff. So now we're just going to do a little review. Okay. So we're going to do these problems without a calculator because you won't get to use a calculator with them on your test on Thursday. This is vertex form, so we will use these numbers right here to determine our vertex. Remember, change the sign, keep the sign. So our vertex should be positive 5, 10. For orientation and shape, we'll look at our A value, which is out front. Our A value is a positive, so our orientation will be up. That means it's going to look like this. Our number here is more than 1, this 2, and that means our shape is going to be narrow. Okay, and then down here we'll try the same thing. Vertex, again, these guys, change it, keep it. So this vertex will be a negative 6, negative 2. Orientation and shape, again, we're going to look at this guy out here. That's our A value. So what does that negative mean? Well, it means that our orientation is down. And our shape, we have a fraction here that's less than 1, and so our shape is wide. All right, last two. So you're only going to have one of these graphing types of problems on your test on Thursday, but we are going to practice 2 of them just to make sure you've got it. Now, this first equation is in vertex form. So vertex form is the one with the parentheses. That allows you to find your vertex without your calculator, like we just did, which would be 2, 12. We can also identify orientation and shape without our calculator. So orientation and shape, again, we'll look at this right here. It's a negative, so orientation would be down. Shape, we have a fraction, so it will be wide. Here's the thing, you do get to use your calculator for this one, so if you're not sure about any of that information, you can look at it on your calculator. So let's type it in now and verify that what we have is true. You notice I cleared out everything else. Okay, so just take a minute to get that typed in. Notice I'm putting parentheses around my negative 1/3. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can go ahead and graph it. Okay, so notice this is opening down. Like we said, it is very wide. Your vertex would be up here, 2, 12. When you actually draw this, I want to see the whole thing. Okay, and you can just extend this over if you need to. Okay, label your vertex. The other information we need to label on our graph is the y-intercept. Okay, so wherever you hit the y-axis, and this has 2 zeros. Okay, so you should have those 4 dots on your graph. Y-intercept, very easy to find. Everything we go to second trace. Second trace, y-intercept is the first option value, and the y-intercept is always where x equals 0. Okay, remember 0, comma. So we'll round. This would become a 10.67. Label it on your graph. Put it on the line. Okay. Now, for your zeros, you must remember to have y2 equal to 0. Okay, if you don't have that and you try to do your second trace 5, enter, 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 look, nothing's happening. See, it still says second curve. It's because your calculator doesn't know what you want to do. So make sure you have a 0 there. Go to graph. Now you have that horizontal line, and we can do our second trace 5. Move your cursor over to one side or the other. Enter, enter, enter. Okay, so -4, 0. Label it. Put it on the line. Okay, and then we do the other one. Second trace 5 first. Don't move the cursor over first. or you'll just have to do it over again. So second trace 5, move the cursor over, enter, enter, enter. Oops, my calculator's being wonky. Come on. Where are you at? There it is. Okay, notice this is close enough. Enter, enter, enter. 8, 0. Label it on the graph, put it on the line. Okay, this should be very neat. All right, I should be able to read all of it. It should look very nice. So please take your time when you're graphing. Okay, one more. Now, if you notice, this is standard form. There are no parentheses. That means we must use our calculator in order to find the vertex. We can do orientation and shape if you would like. Your a value is out front of your x squared. It is a positive 1, which means orientation is up and shape will be normal. Okay, let's type this in. X squared. Make sure you're doing this along with me, please. Minus 18x plus 72. Okay. And notice I'm going to keep this y2 equals 0 for when I have to find my zeros. Okay, go ahead and graph. Okay, now this one you're going to notice you can't see the whole picture. So some of your calculators will move over automatically once you start to find your vertex. Others of your calculators didn't. So here's what we're going to do. You need to see farther to the right. Farther to the right will be x max. So we're just going to change this 10 to a larger number, like 20 we'll try. That should give you your whole picture. So make sure you draw your whole picture for me. Okay. And actually, we want to make sure, even though it looks like it's not hitting the y-axis, it will eventually. It's just going to be way up here. So when you draw this, you're going to kind of like exaggerate it. You want to draw it so it is hitting the y-axis. Okay, even though I know it doesn't, whoops, wrong thing. Even though it looks like it's not hitting the y-axis, it will eventually. It's just going to be really, really, really high up. Okay, so draw it as though it is hitting. Y-intercept, there are 2 zeros, and you have a minimum. Those are the 4 things we're going to need to find. Okay, we'll just go in order here. Vertex, second trace, we have a minimum, 3. Left bound, okay, well I'm already on the left, enter. Right bound, I'm going to move to the right, okay, over the little hump here. Okay, now I'm on the right, enter, guess, go to the middle, enter. This will become a 9, -9. That's your vertex. Label it, put it on the line. Okay, Y-intercept is easy. Second trace value, x equals 0. You can't see it, but it tells you it's at 0, 72. So label it, put it on the line. Okay, last 2 are your zeros. Second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. Just remember to move your cursor over first before you press enter, enter, enter. Okay, eventually our cursor will show up. Here it comes. Okay, enter, enter, enter. So that's a 6, 0. Label it, put it on the line. And we'll do it one more time. Second trace 5. Move your cursor over. Once you're over there, enter, enter, enter. 12, 0. Label it, put it on the line. If you would like, you can now do a zoom 6 to return to your standard window. Okay, so your homework tonight is worksheet 4, and you're solving by graphing. And then you are also doing some review like we just went over. Okay, so what you need to do is show your notes to your sub to get checked off, and I will be back in a little bit to answer any questions you have. All right, see you in a bit. Bye.